Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about STIs. STI just stands for sexually transmitted infections. Now for the GCSE, there's two different STIs we need to know about. HIV and chlamydia. Now chlamydia's got a very difficult spelling like this. So all I'm going to do is go through each one and tell you a little bit about each one. So HIV, the V gives us a clue that it is in fact a virus. So remember, all a virus is a very simple structure. It has a protein coat around the outside, and in the middle, it has genetic material. So that could either be DNA or RNA. So what a virus needs to do in order to reproduce is it needs to infect a host cell. So it can't reproduce by itself, it needs to go inside another cell. So the cells that it attacks in humans are white blood cells. So it needs to attack this, and by doing so, it actually kills white blood cells. Now this is a big problem because white blood cells help to fight against other pathogens. So if all of our white blood cells are wiped out, it means we're very vulnerable to get ill from other pathogens. So what's the relationship between HIV and AIDS? Now I'm going to draw this little graph that will help us visualize it. So what this shows is the number of white blood cells over time. So HIV is the virus which kills white blood cells. Now over time, those numbers of white blood cells are going to come down and down and down. What AIDS is after a while, we get AIDS as a result of HIV. So HIV is the virus, AIDS is the disease that it will eventually cause. Because all AIDS is when we get below a certain number of white blood cells, your body is extremely vulnerable to other pathogens. And even a flu, influenza or something like this, can suddenly become life-threatening. So how is it spread? Essentially, HIV is spread in bodily fluids such as blood, semen, and vaginal fluids. So obviously it can be spread through sexual intercourse. It can't be spread through saliva and kissing. Now, how do we make sure that someone can help to kind of protect themselves against the spread of HIV? So the key ones is, first of all, wear a condom during sex, because remember it could be spread in semen or vaginal fluids. Make sure, sometimes intravenous drug users share their needles, and therefore they're transferring blood from one person to another. So needles is another way that it's spread. Also, the screening process is very important. It's important for people to go to sexual health clinics to make sure they don't have this disease, so they don't pass it on to other people. People with HIV can take medicine to make sure they don't pass it on to someone else. Okay, chlamydia. Now, chlamydia is a little bit different from HIV. It's less life-threatening. In fact, it's not life-threatening at all. Now, instead of being transferred by a virus, the pathogen involved this time is bacteria. Now, similarly though to HIV, chlamydia bacterium needs a host in order for it to reproduce. Now, strangely enough, quite often, chlamydia does not have any symptoms. This means there's no outward sign to show that you've got chlamydia. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is it can actually cause infertility in both men and women. Now, infertility is when you're unable to have a baby. So we can see it's very important to be able to find out if you've got chlamydia, so you could take the right antibiotics to get rid of those bacteria. Otherwise, you could become infertile. So how can we stop it from spreading? Again, use a condom during sexual intercourse, because this is a very good mechanism to make sure the bodily fluids are not being shared. Screening process. Again, it's important to go to a sexual health clinic, because if you've got chlamydia, it's quite easy to get rid of it with some antibiotics, but you need to know that you've got it because it's symptomless. And also, another option, I guess in both of them, is avoiding sexual contact altogether. So, just to summarise, HIV, life-threatening, caused by a virus, and it attacks white blood cells. It leads to AIDS. Chlamydia, caused by a bacterium, is symptomless and leads to infertility. Both of them are sexually transmitted infections known as STIs. Thank you.